Now I think we're live, Rip. We got to get the head bob in. See if this thing works today.
Well, I can't get a
There
head.
it is.
There,
What do you
well,
mean you can't?
no, I
Do
couldn't
it.
put the head bob in until you put the music on.
The music's on.
Well, I
Now
can
you
hear
do
it
that.
now, but I'm behind. Well, you said that, but then you hadn't started the music yet. So am I supposed to bob my head, but the
right
music
now.
hadn't started yet?
Right now.
What is this music?
It's
Starcade, baby.
Starcade, baby. They do a bunch of rock, rap, wrestling. It's all old 80s Crockett promotion. They got a couple really awesome videos out there. I was
Well, that's because you were in it. That's why you said that.
Well, I was in one of the videos, yeah, but they got some really cool, like big time produced, done wrestling shit. I'll have to send you the link to them. They're awesome, man. They're all
Nice.
YouTube.
Love that stuff.
Starcade.
Starcade, baby.
Doesn't get any better than that, man. So we're live here, baby. We got Ace Steel in the house, Rip. What do you think about that?
We
Ace
got
Steel on Wrestling with Rip Rogers, live on YouTube today.
We got the coach right here. It doesn't get any better than this.
Brother.
Maybe
all the
You're the
top
coach,
stars.
Shoot, Frank Picklebarrel's in today, medium 5. All the top stars coming in, rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling, if you will.
If you will. So, do you remember when the first time like you met Rip? What's your background with Rip? I'm not even. I know you. I've met you maybe only a couple times. Probably don't remember on Von Lilas. I met you. I think in OVW.
Yep.
Back in the mid to late 2000s, I would say. Were you down there about that time? I would think.
I was down there for nearly the whole year of 07.
07.
Nearly
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was trying to remember though. Rip wasn't training at that time, was he? Like he was
Rip?
DCW, I think, at that time.
Yes. He had Derby City. So, I crossed paths with Rip once, twice. I walked in to shake his hand one night. That's about it. Like trying to make the rounds, but we weren't required to go to that. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. You guys wouldn't come down to lowly old Derby City Wrestling. I mean, come on. The big contract OVW guys show up at Derby City.
The good rib was.
Yeah, that's how I thought. Yeah. Ooh.
The rib was. I made more money. I made more money with Derby City Wrestling than I did with the other thing.
No shit. That's
yes.
Beautiful.
Everybody come in. It was just money on the table right there. We all had a good time. We had our own television show. I worked their guys' ass off, and a lot of guys really got good guys come out of there. No bad apples. They were weeded out.
Nice.
Had to puke buckets there at ringside when anybody come down to. It was awesome. DCW was the most fun I've ever had.
Well,
So after that, when did you guys ever cross paths again? Was it just recently or
recently? This past year when we went to work for Derby City in Louisville for Dave Marquez Promotions, United Wrestling Network. They put us together, So I was fucking excited. I'm like, oh, pardon me, can I swear?
Yeah, you can. Just not every other word, but yeah, you can.
Okay.
Feel free.
Pardon my French.
It is Rip Rogers show, so I mean
exactly. So
hey, don't fucking cuss on here. What the fuck, right?
I can't believe we're not banned from YouTube yet, to tell you the truth. But
gotcha. No, ran into Rip. Marquez was telling me what he was putting together. I was all on board, and he said we're going to work with Rip, bring him in. You got, and shit. I think we talked. We just swap stories left and right,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, matches, yes, produce this and that. Oh, which is something we both love to do, but just to swap stories, mainly me listening to him, picking his brain, like tell me this, tell me that, which I'll probably still do today. I'll do it every time. It's in my nature to sit with someone. I call it higher learning when I don't have a fucking answer. Oh, goddamn.
you're
when
fine.
I don't have an answer to the question, or I'm kicking something around, I call it higher learning. I ask someone that's been in the business longer than me, even we've been, and we may, if he comes up with the same answer, then I'm like, I'm on the right path, but still.
That's just awesome. That's how everybody learns. You always want to shoot. I shut up and listened to all the guys. I always rode with guys that were older than me. I'd ask them questions and they just go on and lecture and lecture and lecture. And I just shut up and have no opinion because I wasn't even trained. So I was just stupid. I didn't know anything about the wrestling business. Anything there was wrong. Guys says I was the worst wrestler in the history of the world. So you think you're bad. You're Ray Stevens compared to me. I mean, I was just so rotten, didn't know how to do anything. And then, but the boys felt so sorry for me because I was so rotten. They said, "Oh, we'll help you out a little bit." I said, "Okay, good." And then so nothing I know is original. It's just passed down from old guys.
Sure.
And that's what we got to do. We got to pass the stuff down so that you can survive in the world's greatest, shittiest business. All your buddies will stick a knife right in your goddamn back.
Hey, well, on that topic, you've
Uh-huh.
been around. You've been pretty much everywhere. Is that a lost art today? Do the guys currently today, especially the younger guys, obviously, do they pick the brains of the older guys and the veterans that are backstage or agents or producers or whatever?
Some. There are still some that hang on to that, and percentage-wise, I really can't throw that at you because every place is different. You know, I hear. I coached at the PC a couple of years ago. It's been about a year, but you had a lot of sponges. I had a group of. I was blessed to have. I had some newbies, and then I was gifted a lot of guys that had been working a long time, so they had an idea who the hell I was versus a football player that had no clue that I had experience. Just that's my coach. I'm Coach Guy, but to these guys, I'm Ace Steel because they just came from the independence and all that, and those guys were an open book. And still to this day, I'll comment to them, or I'll just reach out and say, hey, it was a great match. Like I see a guy debut on SmackDown, and kill it, and they'll just throw praise right back. Hey, coach, thanks for helping me out along the way. Stuff like that. Like they come, they ask, they want to know. Those are the true workers. They do exist. It's just I don't know. I something happened to our art, and I hope we can rectify it. You can't change the world, but there are some good nuggets out there.
I mean, take it for what it's worth. I don't have any reason not to believe him. Tully Blanchard just came out on an interview and said for the entire time he was at AEW, there wasn't a guy that ever came to him and asked him one wrestling question.
Amazing to me. And you know what's funny is that, not that he's going to remember because I was a producer, I went right up to him when I got to know him face to face a little bit. Same with Arn. I know Arn much better, but I just started talking to Tully about Harley, because I spent a lot of time with Harley, many, many years, and sat beside Harley. And I'm always fascinated to hear about what Harley was like back in the day. I have a version of Harley I know, but the Harley that walked into the dressing room in the 70s and 80s, I want to know about that Harley, And then Tully's like, I never worked Harley, but I reffed a match of his with Dory and things like that. So, but 100% what Tully's saying, nobody goes up to him. I'd go up to Arn and ask him, why wouldn't I talk to Arn Anderson about producing a match? The dude produced for 20 plus years after he retired. Hey, Arn, I got 4 minutes. What do I do here? I'm thinking this. You'd be ridiculous not to. That's just still my opinion. I don't care what anybody says. If again, higher learning. Why wouldn't you just go ask a question? Because you're too good? Piss on that.
Yeah, Arn rode with me many times in Pensacola in 83, 84 when he was under the hood as Super Olympia. And then he lost. Then he worked with Jerry Stubbs, who was Mr. Olympia, and then he lost the hood, and then he was Arn Anderson.
What a worker, by the way, Jerry Stubbs. I wrestler brain here. I caught some of him the other night, and I texted Scotty Armstrong. I said, "How good was this guy?" In the hood, you never saw the face because he just looked like an average.
But the
guy
body,
the body, the work. His work was so smooth. Holy shit! And then I read somewhere that he helped train Brad Armstrong, which makes all the sense in the world because Brad was he's one of my favorites ever.
With just that crew down there was Ron Fuller, Robert Fuller, all the Armstrongs were there. Yeah. Road Dogg was just a teenager hanging out. He was first time I met him, he's like 16, about 6'1.5", skinny as a rail, could talk that shit, do the strut and everything. But then he went off to the service and he gained all that weight and everything and come back. And he was all the Armstrongs they'd never touch you, and they'd never hurt you. They all understood the business. Nice. And when I liked for Fuller and Bob, when I worked for them, Jimmy Golden, them, never once did they raise their voice to anybody. It was this real soft spoken. Hey, can you do this? Fuller would say, figure out something. he make a program for me. So I worked a 10-week program with Austin Idol. So I give it to him. He says, well, okay, now I know what we did here before. So let's switch this and that because we did something like this in this town and something like this in that town. But let's just, we'll make it a little bit different. But that's good the way you structured everything. He said, hell, I may steal something from you. But them Fullers, they were some smart guys. And at one time, their uncles or dads, what they owned, it seemed like all the South, or they had their nose in everything down in the South.
Sure, the Welch family. Oh yeah, no, I'm fascinated. Like the Armstrong family into Tracy Smothers. Tracy Smothers has a lot to do with us from my school and our group of guys growing as wrestlers to right over. Like I said, Brad Armstrong's in my top 5. He's just awesome.
Rip, you got any Harley race stories?
Yeah, I'll tell you one in a minute. But Brad Armstrong always said, I had my best first match I ever had in my life with him.
Really?
I mean, everything, he mirrored me. Everything I did, he kept that buffer zone. He stayed in a fighting stance.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever I did, if I threatened, he threatened. And of course, I backed away, this or that. And we didn't break a sweat. There was no false finishes. He just beat me with a Russian leg sweep.
No shit.
Yes.
Nice.
And I said, how many bumps I take, boys? They said, I don't know. I was just watching the match. I said, the Russian leg sweep. Now all of a sudden, the bump means something. Don't worry, you can get all your falsies in and be over, so you can get all your shit in. Bunch of fucking marks is what I'd tell them. Yeah, I was Mr. Congeniality.
Still are.
Oh, you was talking about Harley Race.
Yeah,
right?
I've never really heard you talk much about Harley Race.
I was in the shower at WCW, and he come in with that deep voice.
Great story.
And he wait a minute.
Glad I asked.
Wait a minute. And he had a zap gun. So all of a sudden, Harley rips the shower curtain sideways. There I am, half fluffed, washing my hair, can't see, got shit or soap in my eyes, right? And all of a sudden, I hear that voice, and all of a sudden, that thing's going, fuck! He just ripped the shit out of me. I thought he was just going to kill me right there.
Oh, that's great.
I'd hate to I'd hate to die right there, and they owed me for a match. So what the fuck, right?
Now, did you ever train under Harley?
So Harley was my liaison for Japan. So I was a transplant trainee, so to speak. I didn't break in with him, but after about I'm in the business roughly 10 years, and I figure out I don't have a stamp on my name. I trained with Windy City Wrestling. Bunch of great people trained me, but they were all job guys. They were enhancement guys.
Was that with Slamming Sammy DeCero?
There you go, buddy. There it is.
All the top stars, we know all that shit. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So I had no name on me, and the funny part is when I decided to run a school, and it was all for the benefit of myself and the guy that I ran the school with, a high school buddy, that he was wrestling still in Chicago, and I happened to live in Kansas City at the time, just my shoot job over there. Long and short, when I moved back to start a school, Dave Marquez starts up with Harley. They start running. Harley's back in the business and like an independent business. So I made it just happened through connections. I worked in front of Harley. He liked my work. Boom. I made a trip down to work for him. I would drive from Chicago. I drive that 8 hours, and I'm not trying to compare, road trips with anybody, but I would just hop in the car myself, drive down from Harley when I could, go work, come back and forth, and mind you, I was working for like Ring of Honor at that point. I was starting to get my name out there, but Harley was the one I wanted to, sit under his learning tree. And sure as shit, like I sat there for a week. I just went down, took my vacation for the year, went and hung out at Harley's down that small town, rented a room and trained at his place. And then after that, subsequent years, I moved down there and I would train at his school. I'd help, run some of the guys and just work all his shows.
Was Jason Bates ever down there then? I think
Jason Bates was down there. Yes, he was.
The Belgian Brawler or whatever.
Yes, sir.
The Waffler, yeah.
Yeah. Bates was down there. He came from Pateras in Minnesota. He came down much the same. Harley was the connection for Japan, and a lot of the Minnesota people would come down. There were some of the girls that came down and a couple different guys, and and Bates had good size too, which Harley always loved someone with good size. Except for being completely jacked, because I'm a small guy, I was never tall, but he just loved my work. So I was always an asset to his cards. And once he got me, my main goal was going to Japan.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so I wasn't big enough. I never thought the Fed would happen for me. And that's not the style. I was a cruiserweight. So I was looking that direction. So yeah, that's what started myself and Harley. But yeah, I helped out at a school for a long, long time.
That's cool. So when you were at not Derby City, Windy City, was Robbie Dauber ever around there? You remember Robbie Dauber, that name at all?
I know the name. That's years later. So
I figured he was a little young. I think me and you are about the same age. I'm 50.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll be 51 in January. So yeah,
and I think Dauber was probably a little younger, I would say. But
sure. I think he came around in the 2000s. I'm gonna guess, like probably that's my guess, because I left Windy City. I wrestled there for 2 years, and then the shoot job I had took me bouncing around. So I was out of Windy City at that point.
That's cool. So after all that, then you went to like what, TNA and Ring of Honor? You did all that before you signed originally, right?
Yeah. TNA in its first year. Ring of Honor came. I forget. I'm terrible with years. I'll have to look it up, because Regal will say, "When did we first meet, Ace?" And I'm like, "Fuck, I don't know, dude." Like, I'll have to look it up. Like, I legit have to go to that cage match and look it up. And like, there we are. We met this year. Yep, did TNA when it first started.
So what was that like? Give some TNA. Do you remember anything about TNA?
TNA back in the day was chaos, and it's funny now because I'm starting to produce there, and it's a way different animal than it was. Also, for somebody that never worked television, I was an independent guy. So, in reference to Harley, he would say, "Can you go out and give me 15 to 20?" Sure, Harley, whatever you need, and I can fucking do it for him. But then I go to TNA, and I didn't know how to work TV. I've been watching TV wrestling my whole life, but no one sat me down and said, "This is your structure of a 4-minute match." Huh? I didn't know. So I farted. I shit the bed, So what got me over to TNA was I looked like $1 million. What is it? Preparation and, meets an opportunity equals success, right? And I was prepared. I looked good. I looked the part. I gave him a finishing move, Victoria's finisher, the Widow's Peak. She hadn't started yet, but I had been given that move, and I pulled it out on the TNA pay-per-view, and everyone was like, "Holy shit, what was that?" And so they signed me up. And there's a funny story about that too, is that so I started getting work, but I didn't know how to get over, because there wasn't anyone there to help me and say, "No, this is how a get over match really works. This is how you should work this." And on and on and on. The funny thing was about that is I signed a year contract with TNA. I was just informed last year that Bob Ryder's computer crashed. Contracts didn't exist anymore. So this whole time I thought I was stuck when they didn't use me. I didn't know.
Oh, wow.
Such is life. It doesn't really change the course of how things went. I still did all right, but you know what I mean? So yeah, TNA, Ring of Honor came about. We started doing a lot of Ring of Honor. And then I got Japan. So I was pretty fulfilled on a lot of ends.
Who was running Ring of Honor at that time?
That was Gabe Sapolsky.
Was Kerry Silken there at all at that time?
No, Kerry didn't come until the Feinstein stuff happened.
Yeah, we had him on our show, man. What a trip that guy was.
Kerry? Yeah, Kerry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Kerry didn't come until the Feinstein stuff happened, where he had the To Catch a Predator thing go on with him.
Yeah.
Whatever all that shit was.
Yeah.
But that was a big turning point for Ring of Honor when Kerry took over, because Piper was actually booked for a Ring of Honor show in Jersey. And because of all that press was coming out, Piper backed out, and Dusty filled the slot. And that just was that turning point. Like that was just the gateway. It just moved on because Dusty came in. It filled the void. And get this, he brawled with Ox Baker that night at a Ring of Honor show.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But yeah, oh yeah, but the fun part about that night was I got to cut a promo in front of Dusty as Dusty, because we'll do it now on command, but when ready, I could pull out a decent Dusty, and I cut a Dusty promo, nerve-wracking, heart going, and Dusty's in the corner and comes in to fucking interrupt me. It was fun stuff, but oh yeah, Kerry ran it, or Kerry didn't come in until later on.
Got it. I'm going to check out the chat. Hey, if anybody's got any super chat questions, that's good. If you're in green, if you're a member, we'll also take some questions. I'm looking to see if we have any questions right this second. It doesn't look like it.
Ask Ace some questions. That's why he's here. Jesus Christ. Not here just to listen to stories.
Well, he could be. I mean,
well, they could be, yeah.
So then what year did you end up getting signed WWE? That was that 2007 then?
It was 2007. The funny thing was 06, I was getting kind of courted by them. Ted DiBiase will never remember this, but his boys started down at that point, Teddy and Mike, and they started training for Harley, and I was helping train them a bit, break in. Harley would have me come in, and he wanted me to help them work out their first match and stuff like this. Well, Teddy saw me, and he was an agent at the time, and he started pushing for me. And so 06 was about the point where I was at the peak of working, I was about as good as I can get without.
You'd been in about a decade by then, hadn't you? I mean, about 10 years.
Oh yeah. By that point, 91. So 14, 15 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I already, and I owned the gym. I bought Harley's gym. So I was down there right next door to his school all the time. And, all that year of wrestling and everything I could do didn't matter. I remember standing next to Benoit, being bigger than him. They made all those guys like, I just remember standing there looking at Benoit, and except for his weird neck, I was like, I'm bigger than Benoit. Like, okay, so that tells me I'm big enough for this.
Yeah.
And nothing happened. And then 07, I get a call from Nova to play Donald Trump and wrestle as Donald Trump as a spoof in St. Louis. And that's what got me a contract out of everything that I could possibly do. All the technical wrestling I could do.
Any idea why you were picked for that? Like,
Nova knew me. Nova knew me for a long time, Mike Bucci, and he had just been down to Harley's for one of Harley's long camps that he does. So he and I were in constant contact, and I think he just knew he didn't owe me anything. No one, well, first of all, no one owes you jack shit in this business, right? He didn't owe me anything, but he knew I was in the area, and he wanted to give me a chance, and he knew I could pull. Like, he just had a feeling I could pull it off. So that's really all I know.
So that's what got you the contract?
100%. That's what got me the contract. Like, I went out, did it, and the chick I worked was not a good worker. Like, she was a sweetheart. She was a sweetheart, but she had to write down 3 turnbuckles to the head. Not like, I'm like, come on, really? And at the end of it, and the crowd's chanting, "We want wrestling," and I'm like, oh, this is where my career's gone. There was an ice cream cake ringside, and she stuck her head through, and man, I waffled her with that cake. You should go back and listen to it, man. It was a smack. I was like, I'm making something out of this. Bam! She took the bump. I gave her like a little flying headbutt. 1, 2, 3. One night bonus from Vince. Vince loved it. And then a week later, I got a call that I got hired. I was like, really? Oh, the next night, again, to put in perspective, I'm kind of winding down wrestling. So I owned a gym, but I didn't let the body go, but I let the size go. So I'm slimming down. I'm still in good shape, but I'm not even tan. I'm supposed to be Donald Trump. I don't give a shit. The next night, somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, Vince wants to see you in the dark." And I went, "What?" They said, "Vince wants to see you in the dark." I'm like, luckily, I had a can of spray tan, sprayed it all over me. I teamed with Funaki. I was Scotty Too Hottie for a night. He had been out injured, so it was usually him and Funaki together. I teamed with Funaki. I got the hot tag, hit a couple of things. They hit the finish on me, 1, 2, 3. Again, a week later, I get a call. Like, so weird how the business works, right? Like, just, you never know when shit's going to happen.
That's wild, man. So did the chick ever say anything to you about...
Not a thing. Not a thing. Never saw her again. I hear she came from the Carolinas. Like I said, it was a sweet gal. She looked a lot more like Rosie O'Donnell than I looked like Trump at the time. So I remember
watching that. I remember watching that on TV when it happened, man. I thought that was awesome. That was great.
And I just kept thinking, well, it's be a hell of a payday. And it was a hell of a one-night payday. I'll tell you that. It was good.
Hey, years ago, I was in Calgary, and there was Pillman was there, Owen Hart was there, and Chris was there, Benoit. And Chris was he wouldn't speak. He didn't say anything. And them guys, Pillman was just a hell of him and Owen were ribbing him all the time, calling him a dwarf and everything. So I said, wait a minute, boys, let's get in the mirror. He was taller than them, about a half inch. He looked like a dwarf because he was like Randy Savage. Randy had that long torso. Randy should have been about 6'3", but Randy was so coordinated because he had like the legs of a 5'10" guy, so he was quick, like a defensive back. You know, he just had that quickness. So Benoit, I started calling Benoit Wilt. Like at Wilt Chamberlain, know, they didn't know who he was or everything. Pillman would get mad all the time. I just ribbed the shit out of him.
Nice.
God damn, that was good.
Hey, somebody was talking about, I remember it happening, but I can't remember why. What was the deal when Eugene cut your hair or whatever? What was that?
Another random spot because I was down for Harley. I was, again, I lived in Harley's area in this territory. So at that point I was booked out on, he just looked at me, you want to go work for New York? And I'm like, yeah, sure, boss. So I'd go up and Harley was, where the hell was he? He was somewhere I couldn't talk to him. I think he was actually in Japan at that time doing an appearance. And that's the one where I was booked with a bunch of bald guys. Like no one knew this was happening. I was just an extra, but I'm the only one that had the hair. I still had the long blonde hair. And Johnny Ace comes up. He's like, you want to make an extra $250 for a haircut? And he goes, looks like you could use a haircut, And I'm looking at Johnny Ace going, you're the fucking surfer guy. But I was like, you're telling me I need a haircut. But I thought about it. I said, shit, I don't, it's good money. I'm already making $250. You'll give me an extra $2, so $500 for a haircut. And that's what I'm doing tonight. All right, whatever, and that's because I got booked with a lot of short hair or bald guys. I can't remember it. I just feels like everybody was bald and I'm the only one that had hair. I had known Regal already. I had a rapport with him. And he goes, Ace, don't let him. You're gonna let him cut your hair? Isn't that your thing? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to do Harley wrong. Like I don't want to do anything wrong to his name. They asked me to do it. I'm booked. So that's basically what it was. The other two guys were I was the only plant. The other two guys were marks. They were pulled from the crowd.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So they set me up. They gave me a ticket, and they're like, "Go out there when the show begins, and just go sit there and wait for the segment, and then you'll be one of the ones picked. Like raise your hand or whatever." So I sit there, and I'm like, "Fuck, I'm gonna lose my hair." Like here it goes. Like I've been, So I went up, grabbed a couple beers, sat down, and chugged some beers. I was like, "Oh, here comes the big haircut." Well, I had so much shit in my hair, Eugene Dinsmore couldn't get through it. But and then I took the kick from Bischoff at the end because that was the setup, But yeah, that's pretty much it. But the two guys that were not the plants, they believed it because Dinsmore was working the gimmick in back. He's like, he's doing the thing, and they're like, he walked away, and Regal was playing it too. He's like, let's go this way, Eugene. Come here, come this way, and Eugene's like, he's doing the gimmick, and the two guys were like, man, I didn't know he was really like that, and I'm like, fucking people believe this. I'm like, this is amazing.
That's awesome.
Somebody believes. Yeah, it was good.
Fucking awesome.
That's great.
So,
I remember I did the WrestleMania when it was Vince versus Trump for the hair versus hair thing.
Oh,
so
nice.
They were doing the hair. It was hair versus hair for that deal. And so during the day, during like the walkthrough gimmick or whatever, they wanted to take one of the extras to practice shaving using the clippers. So they're like, and I was the opposite, man. I got in the back. I was like hiding, but there was a couple guys. Yeah, you can cut my hair right now, shave it all off. Just in front of nobody, just
sure
letting Donald Trump sit there and shave their head bald right in the middle of the day.
Jeez. But no extra payday for it?
I don't know if they end up paying him or not extra, but just to practice with the clippers.
Oh, wow. Well, that was the same year. That'd be all that. Well, wait, the Donald Trump thing. Well, yeah, that was all the same time.
This was WrestleMania 23, whenever that was.
So that was the same year because at the time, I was running a gym and I was, what the hell was I doing? I was looking at, you remember Monster.com used to do, they may still exist. I've never looked them up, but they resumes and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I was actually, being courted by them to do speeches at high schools about successful, like I'm happy in my career. You're gonna want to go to Phoenix University online. That's the infancy of all that stuff, right? That was like a week after they flew me to Indianapolis to do stuff, and you just basically had to learn a speech and be able to deliver it. That whole next few weeks, the whole Trump thing I did was on every Entertainment Tonight magazine show, headline news. They just kept showing and showing until I got back home, and then they offered me the spot, the job. But I tore my knee up when I got in developmental. So if there was ever anything that I could have done with that, later on with that, there was never going to be a callback because I was fucking on crutches. So, but that's crazy.
wow.
So you got a nice little spot and payday yourself. So that's awesome.
Yeah, man. So we got of course in the chat we got all these questions that I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. So
I bet
we'll put you on the spot for this one time, and what you can say, what you can't say. Let's just get it on and over with so we can talk about the rest of your past and your career and those kind of things. But of course, everybody's wanting to know about the AEW, the fight, the firing, how does Kenny Omega taste? Any kind of question you can think of is being asked. So I'm not sure what you're allowed to say or what you can or can't say, but any comments you can make on your run in AEW and how it ended with the backstage brawl, so to speak.
Well, I worked with a lot of great people. Some great, some not so much. Family still exists in this business. There are things none of us can say and none of us will I think actually my wife's the only one could probably tell the story since she was there, and maybe someday. As far as that goes, you don't fuck with family. You just don't. You just don't. And we came out just fine. And I have a great lawyer, Stephen P. New.
Oh, really?
He's the man. Let's just put that in the world.
Wow.
Stephen P. New is he's a gem. He is for the wrestlers. He's for the boys. He's on the right side of the world. So I will give him all the praise in the world while I'm sitting here smiling.
This is fucking awesome, because Stephen P. New I was supposed to have him as a guest on here.
Really?
Yeah, months ago, and then he had to do some kind of thing, and he couldn't do it.
Probably had to go represent Ace Steel.
That might have been it. But he used to come to all the shows we used to run in ICW in Beckley, West Virginia, at the Civic Center there. But he was just the world's greatest wrestling fan. Stephen P. New.
He still is. He still is. And if you follow him or look him up, you can hear. I mean, well before I met him, he was talking about things, and well before I made contact with him and got to be not just an associate, but just friends with the guy just through talking with him. And he's for the boys. He's definitely for the boys. So going through him for like some trademark stuff, going through him for legalities that we need in this world. He's a man that'll take care of you, and he's a busy man. Like, he takes care of big cases. Like, sorry, Ace, I was in court dealing with this against the state of whatever, and legit, he's against the state of whatever. But he's for justice. I hate to make it sound like the big, but really, it's true. Like, he's for justice and for what's right. And he helped the outcome of my life, put me on a path for smiling, And I can say this, that I'll just roll into it. I'm very proud of my number one student that I've ever coached in the world for heading back to show the world who the hell he is. I stopped at the F word. Look at that.
No, you're good, man. Say it.
That's progress. Showing who the fuck he is. I did a speech at the Cauliflower Alley, and Steve Kern was supposed to induct Punk at the Cauliflower Alley, but he couldn't make it. So that was kind of scrambling around, and I said, I'll do it. And because who else can introduce you and talk about, the days we started together. And I said, the reason people hate him or whatever is he's not about bullshit. And the guy doesn't take shit, and he doesn't take it lightly. And when you've had enough shit, you either explode or you take care of business yourself, and, and you defend yourself. People don't like him because he defends himself or, calls stuff out when it's not proper. But if you treat him right, he treats everyone else right, And that's just not waving his flag. That is because we're friends. And I said this in a promo, that we're family, and we are family. You know, family's not always blood. And that's something you find out when you get older, right? You know, you can look at your family, and even though you're blood, that doesn't mean they're the best people in the world. But a lot of the people I surround myself aren't blood that are my family. So, but as far as everything else goes, you know, I'm on the right side of the world right now. So that's about all I can say about that. You might hear something. I'm sure it's a fucking dark side of the ring someday. I laughed at the time going, all this shit's going to be a dark side of the ring someday. You know, someone's going to want to know.
Okay, let me try to ask it this way. There was so much shit out there, so many rumors. Is any of the story that you've seen out there, can you say, like, is it kind of true, mostly true? You've seen so much shit that's not true. Like,
I've seen a lot of shit that's not true, and I've seen a lot of stuff. I can tell you this. What's funny to me about this world is that all these people online, and I only exist on Twitter just because, but I've had to block the world. You know what I mean? And I scrutinize that. I look at it. Even on Instagram, I don't block so much. But when people talk about mental health and how people should operate, and no one gave a shit about my mental health when that went on. And that's what makes me laugh, is like, really, you people want to cry wolf and talk about mental health when all the shit that I endured, like I never could relate to anything that, let's say, that Punk went through in any of the, like when he left wrestling. Oh my God, we paid for your house. Oh, fuck off. You paid for his house. He slumped it and took bumps. You know, like his body's beaten and ravaged for that shit. You know, you bought his house. I think he earned that in the highest degree. But no one cared. I never could relate to him as much during that time as how much we were getting slammed and destroyed online, or all this other shit, or whoever put stuff out. And there are so many lies. Like, let's put it this way. I used to work for AT&T as a manager for 10 years. I was a high-end manager of fiber splicers. No one knows why I left that position. I actually left it to move on into wrestling. Like, I got back into it, but nobody knows that. That's not reported out there. No one knows why you left this place to go work at this place. Why does that fucking matter about any of this stuff back there? Those stories become folklore later years. You know, when I hear about, you know, I know Haku. He's the sweetest man in the world. You know, but I never wanted to. I've heard the stories, but I never really was want to walk up to him and say, "Why'd you bite that guy in the nose?" You know. and again, why would you fuck with Haku? You're just fucking stupid. But why is this reported out there? How did this get out there? You know what I mean? What a conspiracy for all that shit to get out there. And again, we never open our mouths about that because, again, that's stuff you don't need to know. So for you to think you get to pry into my life and then bash me and batter me, where's the mental health, you know, for myself? All these other wrestlers, you know, I'm you know, it's rough times. It's rough times. Yeah, it's fucking rough times. It's sports. It's sports. And we're not even, you know, come on. I'm sorry. I had to endure a lot, and I didn't go cry wolf anywhere. But I survived. My wife survived. We persevered. Punk survived. We persevered. And again, go listen to Jimmy Cornette. Find Jimmy Cornette. Find what Stephen P. New had to say. They somehow, and I'm not saying, and again, I didn't talk to either one of these guys at the time. In fact, you know, Cornette, I mean, they just somehow know. They knew. Someone either told them or they just figured it the fuck out, you know. But it's not hard. How back in Harley's day, I come from a generation, not that I am not a badass, but I come from a generation of you handle things yourself. Again, we were around Harley race. You gentlemen, you go to the same age as me, you know. Hey, let's go handle it. Let's not talk. I won't talk shit on you. I'll talk to you face to face.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so
I just never saw the Stephen P. New swerve come into this, Rip. I don't know about you, but it's not where I saw this going, man.
No, Steve. It's like Stephen P. New. He'll show up at conventions. We always get our pictures taken together and stuff, right?
Yeah.
He buys my books. We're bullshitting this and that. He'll tell me a story about this and that, and then because I listen to Corny's podcast and to me, he's the most famous lawyer in the world.
Indeed.
He's over with me.
Johnny Cochran ain't got shit on Stephen P. New.
Oh gosh, Johnny Cochran.
Hey, besides
But-
that, how was your other time in AEW? Did you mostly enjoy it up to that point? Did you have a decent responsibility?
I had a lot of responsibility. You get in the mix, and I was Punker's producer, so I produced some good stuff. Produced his dog collar match. And the funny thing about producing is not everybody has it when they say, "Oh, this guy produced that match. That must be." Well, that doesn't serve as an indication that the match was going to be good. Because I produced many a match where you look at guys and they're just like, they give you the match they're going to do. I'm like, all right, fine. Whether they want input or not. The dog collar match I did have input on. Like there's things you impart. Like I need to see that. It's a movie. The biggest thing I've learned about producing, and this is an avenue after wrestling, which has made me a better wrestler, which doesn't freaking matter now because I don't wrestle, is that you view it as a movie. Where do I want to see this part? How do I want to see this guy get yanked with the chain instead of just cameras everywhere? Like I need to see you in this corner if you can make it there when this happens, and where this super player, like when a guy comes out and sets something on the ring side, I want to see this camera. These type of things. I did have fun. I had a lot of fun. I got to expand my skills as far as that went for producing. And then training, I still trained people when I was there. So I inevitably had a lot of people in class. I had Serena, not that I trained Serena D, but she would come to class, her and Mercedes Martinez, to work out because we had access to a ring. Well, they would just let me coach them. And they're both phenomenal coaches in their own right. Again, not putting that down by any means. They just walked in to say, run me, be my coach. And I helped when Mercedes had the ROH women's title, there wasn't a lot going on with it. And she's like, I really want to do something with this, Ace. And I'm like, okay, well, let's put our heads together. And turned around one day and I saw Serena walking out. And I go, why don't we do something with Serena? And she's like, holy shit. So I had a lot of input with them that we would put in the mix to get their feud going last year. And the pride I had for watching those two ladies and amping them up, I said, go out and give the women of the world a blueprint for how you want them to see women's wrestling. Like, you're going to get 15, 20 minutes on this ROH pay-per-view to blow it out. Yep, you may not have had a lot of time slotted for television. Big fucking deal. Get your angle over. Get your story over. Like, let's work on this. And that was some stuff like that was the most fun for me. Getting to do stuff like that,
That's cool. Rip had I'm sure you probably know, but Rip had a lot to do with training Serena from the get-go down in OVW.
Yeah, she
Yes,
trained
indeed.
with all the guys, and I called her every name in the book. And she just texted me yesterday. She said, I'll call you this weekend. And I'm thinking, stupid bitch. I said, last time she's told me that she didn't do it. She just kayfabed me and laughing. Because she had that video out about her, her issues, right? And I looked at that.
Yeah.
I said, oh man, what I mean? Because we had talked about it before and everything, but then she come out and told the world. Then I got all teary eyed and everything. Don't tell
Sure.
nobody though, But
Good thing nobody watches this show.
Yeah.
okay, that's all right.
Hey, so let's I want to go back then kind of with you and Punk in the beginning. So
Mhm.
you trained him, right? Like, were you his first trainer? Did you know him before that, I guess?
No. Well,
No?
so the long and short is there were backyarders running a promotion in Chicago. And he inevitably ended up being a promoter because he was the most responsible of everybody. So his name was on the promoter's license for Chicago, for Illinois. And they would run outlaw shows, if you want to call it that were drawing 800 people or so. And we're on the other side of town, the legit wrestlers drawing fucking 200. And it's like, and then the trained wrestlers like, oh, those guys are garbage and they're backyarders. They're only filling the crowd with their family. I'm like, 800 family is coming to watch this? No, people are enjoying themselves. Well, as he would say in like I think it's on the network right now. As soon as he came back, I woke up the next day and looked at my wife and said, if they don't have a banner up here this week of his shit, they're nuts. And sure as shit, by the next morning, there was Across the Peacock and his Best in the World DVDs up there. The thing we shot 1,000,000 years ago. But a lot of it still holds. And the beginnings are exactly on the money. that he came to us to get trained. You know, he walked in the door and said, I really want to do this. And so we became fast friends. We are, you know, I enjoy the vices of the world, and he has never enjoyed the vices of the world, you know. But we were always fast friends with music, with the love of wrestling, with just getting along and working out, you know. The first day, like, we still go and work out together. Like that's our biggest joy is like, we show up. All right, we lifting today? Yeah, fuck yeah, we're lifting today. And it's always like, we'll text a week ahead of time. What day are we doing chest? I'll hold off till we can have a spotter and have a good workout and push each other, stuff like that. So yeah, we go back a long, long time and to me, he's never been any different. You know, he's been the same guy all the way through. He's had to go through all the struggles as you've seen. You've been in OVW, so you see guys that go up, come down, how that works, navigating that world of, you know, all of a sudden your face is on everything. Or I walk in the Walmart and there's a t-shirt with him and I laugh and I go, look at this shit, you know. Yeah, we go back a long way. I was his first trainer. The guy I ran the school with, his name was Danny Dominion. We were high school buddies, and we opened the school primarily for us because we had no place to work. And we found a ring, started working in training people, and training people just was the secondary thing. It was like, oh, people came to us to train. And then we ended up having a good group of people. Adam Pierce, oddly enough, he lives 10 minutes away from me down here in Florida. His first day of training, I met him. Like the first day he walked into a wrestling school, I met him. And then when we opened up the school, a lot of people in the area were upset with him because he came to work with us and started training with us and working because we were hungry. We were hungry, we were young, and we were in shape. So you have that ilk of people throughout the years. And look at Pierce now.
You know, I was going to just say, isn't that wild? Like, you meet these people the first day in class. There's still people I remember coming in the first day in class and then seeing them on WWE TV. And I'm like, man, I beat the shit out of that guy. And they won in the amateur battle royal or whatever, you know, like.
Yeah.
But even that with Punk, man, did you ever see Punk? Maybe didn't even think about it this way back then, but being that big, like one of the most, maybe the most popular wrestler in the world right now. Did you ever see that coming 25 years ago or however long ago it was?
No, I don't think you can. Because especially at our level, and the thing about it back then, like I just made the statement that I never thought I'd be in the WWF because I wasn't big enough, because it was the land of giants. You know, and his body was pear-shaped at that point. But to see him transform and the hard work he went through to transform his body, you know, I remember a day the ring was down and we're like, all right, we're going to take everybody to the gym and show you guys how to work out. Like, you know, obviously some of you don't use weights, you know, but he was all about it. Let's go fucking work out. And that started from there. Like, that's our routine. It's been that way for 25 years. We working out today? Yeah. Even when he wasn't wrestling, we working out today? Yes. No, you couldn't see that. His connection with the crowd, though, undeniable. Always had that. Even when he was doing the backyard stuff, that was the thing. Like, he just had that in his head. He knew how to work the people. I told a story at Cauliflower where when he started training with us, he would do the wrestling 101 thing where he'd grab the mic and say, if you guys don't shut up, and he was working heel, he's like, if you guys don't shut up, I'm leaving. And they'd cheer, and he'd put the mic down, he'd leave. And I'm like, the dude just took my shit. You know, it's what I'm doing.
That's what I used to, you know? Rip used to do that.
Everybody did.
Everybody did.
Everybody, exactly. Everybody did. But I was like, oh, I'm the one but that showed me he was constantly like, you know, and look through the years of the people that he's had as mentors moving on, you know. When he went to OVW, Heyman was there. He sat under the Heyman learning tree. Heyman invited people. He went and sat there. He would just tell me, I remember in OVW, he's like, going to hang out with Heyman tonight and listen to him book, like how he's booking TV, you know, like, okay. And then he just, the learning trees. Harley showed him how to make a blade. Great, like all that type of stuff. So no, I couldn't see it coming. I don't know how you can.
Yeah.
But, you know, and there's people on the flip side, I'm like, that dude's a star. And then it doesn't happen. You know, you've seen that too. Like, again, you were in that, you know, about the end of the peak period of like, when did you start? Who did you see go through OVW? What were your years there?
Oh God. When I first started training with Nick Dinsmore it was at the old building. So Man, that was just right at the end of like Cena and Benjamin and Sean
Okay.
O'Hare and Batista, all those guys. And I was just in the amateur class then. But then when I got into like Rip's class, it was like the Tough Enough guys and Matt Morgan and Carlito and Johnny Nitro, Tough Enough. Just
Right.
kind of those Johnny Jeter and Mike Mondo and those kind. But yeah, there were some people, you would think, man, this guy is going to be just awesome, and just never quite did it. And then there was, I mean, Mondo was great, but Mondo came in at 18 and little. He could do everything. You knew there was probably a spot for him somewhere, but some of those guys just got it. Just like Mark Henry was talking about the first day, him and The Rock were training together in the old warehouse. Mark Henry's like, I've been here 8 months. The Rock shows up. He can do everything on day one that it's taken me 8 months to do. The Rock just walks in and like he's been doing it his whole life. So I don't know. It's wild, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't know.
I was on the phone with Mondo last night at 3 a.m. He calls me.
Oh, wow.
What the hell?
Yeah, because he's running a show, or he's got this guy's first match. What should he do? So I tell him what to do. I said, no, wait a minute. Don't take this. No, use your goddamn brain. Be different. So, well, first he called about 1:30 in the morning. Then he calls back an hour and a half later, and I'm fucking sleeping, right? I said, God damn, Mike, get fucking with it, He was all upset.
100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So were you and Punk at OVW together at the same time? I can't remember when Punk was there.
No, he got pulled up right before I went there. So when I got hired, I went to Deep South for a couple months.
Yeah. I remember that.
Was that where Jody was at then?
Yep.
Jody Hamilton?
Yep. Jody Hamilton ran it. That's where I met Brad Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, shit happens for a reason.
Right.
And I got to meet and worked under Dr. Tom, who I already knew Dr. Tom, met Brad. And then when that folded, then I ended up in OVW. Punk had got pulled up the year before, I think, when they did the new ECW.
So who was your trainer or doing TV at OVW when you were?
Al Snow. Snow was there,
and
was? Danny. Yeah, Snow was there and Danny. And Robert Gibson was there for a short time too.
So what was the ultimate ending that round for you at OVW in WWE, I guess?
So there's a rumor that's been spread that I went in knowing I was hurt. I've heard this before. I've heard this somewhere.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard this.
Well, it's a random thing because to be honest with you, I think I built up enough credibility where someone would think that's fucking bullshit that I wouldn't try to like pawn off an injury on someone. I tweaked my knee in a match in 06, like late 06, working Kenta Marufuji. My knee didn't feel good, but I didn't know it was wrong, And we're wrestlers. We don't have insurance.
Knee was hurt.
Yeah, my knee was hurt. On the first day of training in Deep South, I hip tossed this gorilla motherfucker that's 280 pounds. And I'm not going to drop him on his head, so I'm going to stabilize him. And I hip locked him over so he wouldn't land on his head because he came barreling into me. And when I turned, my knee tweaked. I was like, oh, and I saw stars. I wrestled for another 2-3 weeks, and I made them give me two doctor's notes, basically. I went to one doctor, and I'm like, no. And so I continued to work. Like I worked a young Kofi Kingston before he had all the shit together. Worked Ray Gordy. Worked the same guy that I had the hip toss problem with. And then finally, whatever the doctor's name was like, you're done. They sent me to Andrews. They finally sent me to Andrews' office. And the guy who works on everything now, Dr. Dugas, his next in command, he was like, he took my knee and he's checking me out. And it was my right knee. And he goes, this ever happened to you? And he jerks on my knee. I was like, oh, and he goes, I'm like, no. And he goes, but that will. And he goes, look, man, you fucked your knee up. Let them fix it. If you were in a program and on TV, I'd let you put a brace on and keep moving because you could probably work around. I said, I've been working around it, And it was a pretty new injury that happened. Like, again, I just jacked my knee up and kept moving and kept wrestling. But as soon as I had gotten to Deep South, like I had to get, my knee was jacked and I had to get surgery. So when Deep South ended and I got moved to OVW, and that's when they opened Florida, when they closed Deep South, they split the crews. They split. You either go to OVW or you go to Florida. writing on the wall. Come on, Florida's going to be the place. You know, I heard we want bodies there, but and at the time I still lived in Missouri and family was there at the time. So I went to OVW. That's just where I went. So I really didn't have a lot of time to wrestle in OVW with a brace. And I probably came back too early. You know what I mean? So the ultimate end was Mike Bucci had been let go and he was the guy in the office that would champion me. You got to have someone champion you, right?
Yeah.
In the office. Otherwise, you know, and then the end came early next year. You know, that one of those weird days where like, we're not training Monday. We're just going to watch video. What? Just not fucking watch video. This is weird. And then, of course, the call comes later that day. I can't tell you how fast I hightailed it out of fucking Louisville. I about ran out of town. So
Oh, shit.
I was like, good, I'm done. Get the fuck out of here. Here's what I found. Oh, shit. Siri was talking to me.
So we did have a question. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So somebody wanted to know if you ever worked with Sting. So I don't know if they are talking about, did you ever wrestle him in your past or work with him in AEW or what? But any Sting encounters?
Sting, I worked with. I have produced matches for Sting. A couple of different matches, a couple of chaotic matches. Like one of those scramble goofy shitting things with him and Darby and all the guys. And I'm like, it was like one of my first nights. I think it was a dog collar match night. I think so. But they gave me these two big matches. I'm like, geez, you know, where the Fed gives you one and you got, you know, like Pierce told me, like one guy will get the War Games. Maybe two guys will be on it, but one will call it. And I got this big match, and then I got this goofy fucking match where tables are happening over there, guys diving off the balcony, and I'm like, so this is my introduction to Sting. And then I've had actually a couple of his. He was great to deal with. He was nice. I sat one day. You always wait for the opportunity, you know. Like I sat and talked to Triple H one day about just to tell him I was thankful for all the stuff he did with Harley. You know, like he took care of Harley towards the end a lot, and you know, just in general. And sat down with Sting one day, and I just brought up Harley to him, and like, you know, he used to talk very well of you. I just, you know, not that you would know that I have a connection with Harley, and Sting was very personable, nice guy.
So are you trying to tell us that you were responsible for when Sting jumped off the ladder and about killed himself jumping on that table when he was short? Are you saying that was your idea?
Nope, was nowhere near that. But I'll tell you that he's got that in him that he wants to still like, fuck, I mean, that's obviously who's telling him he's nuts, you know? Like, no, you shouldn't do all that shit. But, you know, just stuff like when Sting misses a stinger splash on the floor and hits the guardrail, I need to see that, you know? And something else is going on, like, guys, I need beats, you know? And I told him once, I said, so I missed you doing that. I need to know when this happens. Let's move this to the ring so I can see. Again, you know, I'm talking to Sting with the utmost respect, but I was like, do you think we could move this over here so I could see it this time, you know? So, no, he was a cool guy. He was nice. And he's very tight with Darby. Like, that's a true, those guys are buddies. And it's a random, like, you know, are these guys really friends? But, you know, they're good dudes.
Let me ask you this. Me and Rip have had this debate. Maybe you can clear it up. In those instances, like when Sting did jump off the ladder onto the table and almost missed it or whatever he did, is that coming from like Tony Khan? Is that Sting's idea? Who ultimately says, okay, we're going to do this ladder spot? Is that whose original idea? That's Sting?
That's Sting. Hey, I want to do something this match. Or they look over and go, Sting, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to do this. I want, you know, it's ultimately up to him if he's going to make it, or, you know, that I know what you're talking about, the one where he barely made it and just
kind of hit his face on the.
Yeah, I might have looked and said, put the ladder on the outside of the ring so that way you're closer, you know.
Yeah, that probably would have been a great idea.
Yeah, when you're over 60, you ain't got the hops anymore. You're not dunking anymore. You're not dunking anymore.
No,
and no matter how amped up you are, you think, oh, I got this shit. Then all of a sudden you jump in. Well, hell, I'm 2 feet short. Oh my God, I have killed myself, you know?
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. I couldn't do leapfrog to save my life right now. Like, unless it was over a little person, that'd be about the only way. Like I got no springs anymore.
Ace, I don't know the last time you saw Rip, but what do you think of the beard coming in? We just got a super chat compliment on Rip and his nice beard. We've been trying to get him to grow it out, and he's got it coming in now.
Are you going to color it like the old days? So you got the gray
Oh,
and then
hell no.
and,
Oh,
come
hell no.
on.
I got
Come on, have a little
I got
fun.
the Donald Trump hair where it's all bald in the back. If it gets wet, it looks like I got 4 hairs. Now I got a white beard.
I like the beard. Are you
So
going for
that,
the
so when I'm with when I'm with the 18 to 19-year-old girl, then then it's even more of a grandfather thing, So what the hell, right? So that means I'm double over. Then I ain't got no teeth, so I'm triple over, right? I'm like a guy in Hollywood. I'm so ugly, I'm good looking. At least that's what I tell myself.
Beautiful.
So what the
I was
hell?
going to ask if you're going to go for the Santa run at all.
Oh
You
yeah,
got
we're
the
doing.
gimmick.
Yeah, I did Santa Claus last year at a party. So got the 5-0 and the buffet. So what the
Nice.
hell, right? So I'm gonna
Nice.
take advantage of all this stuff.
Those poor kids, man. Can you imagine going to a Christmas party as a kid and the Santa Claus is Rip? Holy shit. Scarred for life, baby.
How about it? Hey,
go-
hey, you little shit. What the fuck you want?
Yeah, I know shit. I get you no damn present.
Come here, little girl. What do you need?
No.
It's all a rib. What the hell, right? Hey, you used to be in the wrestling business. Everybody was a known criminal, or you thought they were a criminal. Everybody had a gun and a knife and brass knucks and everything, and you didn't mess with anybody. Now everybody, it's a little bit different. So what the hell, right?
TSA prevents a lot of that too.
Oh well.
Yeah, you can't travel with blades on the plane. Of course, you drove more than anything back in the territory days. But yeah.
You drove everywhere. Memories. Baby.
Somebody wants to know who did better with the ladies, you or Punk?
Oh, him always.
Yeah, but you could get some great leftovers though. No, there's 30 of them waiting on him. So he takes whichever one, 2 or 3 he wants, and throws you the scraps, right? And I'll gladly eat those scraps. Hell yeah.
I'm a married man, Rip. I must plead. I was a good boy. I actually was a good boy. I was, no leftovers.
Like I always say on here, I hope my wife's not watching today.
Yeah,
and like
she'll
I
listen to
always
this.
say, I never knew one person, not one person.
Hey, easy now.
In the wrestling business, that was the way you're supposed to be. And the ones, and no matter who you'll mention that guy, good. Nope. I ain't spilling no beans or nothing, but nope.
I remember when I was in Japan, we were in Sapporo, which is my favorite city in Japan. And I did a lot of tours with Too Cold Scorpio. Majority of the tours I'd done were with him, and he was always great to me. And we'd finished up doing Korean barbecue, and there was a wrestling bar actually that would. It was a guy named Little Chono worked there. It looked like Masa Chono, but he ran the bar. And we'd always go there and get comped everything when we were in Sapporo. But that night, I was like, "Oh, where are we going?" And Scorpio was like, at the time, I had a girlfriend, was pretty steady. I don't know why, he just looked at me and said, "No, you're not going to this place." It basically was a live fuck show was going on across the street. He's like, "You just go to Little Chono's bar and hang out there." I'm like, "Really?" And I kind of wish in hindsight I just went and saw the live show because, come on, experiences. I didn't say I was participating. I just was watching just weird voyeur stuff. But I'm sure, Rip, you would have been like, "No, I'm going across the street."
I'd have been across the street real fast.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a no good bastard, and I'll tell you that.
And probably not just watching either.
Well, probably not, but what the hell, right? You only go through once in life. And now I've already went past whether it's the hell meter or the heaven meter. I've already done too many bad stuff. Of course, I'm Catholic, so you can just go to confession right before you die. And then saying after contrition, you're going right to heaven. So what the hell?
You're paying for it all right now anyway. So.
I am paying for it.
Wow.
It's karma. What the hell, right?
It is.
It don't get any better than this.
Hey, somebody asked who you did like working with, like in AEW. Anybody? You've talked about a couple people, but Agent, any matches? Anybody you saw down there, or your time at AEW? You thought, man, this guy's going to be a star, or maybe he is a star. Somebody you really thought got it.
I love Darby. Darby's great. And when you sit and talk to people, like when you get to know people, right? And believe it or not, Darby Allen's been to the Harley race camps over the years. Brody King has been to Harley race camp. In fact, I was at one he was at. He said, "You were there." And I said, "I was." And I'm thinking about it. I would always, when the Japanese would come down, because he usually did them with Noah, Pro Wrestling Noah, there would still be some of the officials and stuff that come over. So I'd go up, and when they were wherever Harley's school was near St. Louis, I'd make the trip up just to see the Japanese, just because of people I knew. So I like Darby, I like Brody, Malachi Black, MJF. He's got a future on him, obviously. Um, I loved working with Serena. I love working with Mercedes. I love working, with some of the ladies there that, the ones you see now. Tony Storm's a pro, Jamie Hayter's a pro. I mean, those women, like I'm talking the top workers of how good they are. Jade Cargill just signed with WWE. She was always very nice. Anna Jay was nice. Like a lot of the ladies were nice. Like I'd get a lot of the AEW darks before the TV would happen.
Yeah.
And just working with them. Like I said, there was a lot of good people there, work wise, that you got to work with, and the ones that would ask for some advice, or how do we do this, where should we go with this, that type of thing. And the work again. The workers when they're talking. When you talk to them, if you bring and they ask you for advice. Like Deebs would always walk up. I'm pretty proud of a match Deebs had with Anna Jay. Like they came up to me and they were like, and they're. And Anna's she's still got a lot of greenness to her, even though she's been put in a lot of positions. But the art of calling things on the fly is lost in a lot of ways. There's some that'll still do it. I guarantee Punk's gonna walk out there and call a lot of shit on the fly, because But to walk them through things and make them walk and think into transition, and to minimize the size of the ring and your footsteps. I'm pretty proud of the one that Deebs had with Anna Jay, because it was one of the best ones I saw, keeping them connected. Once you get away from a green person, that's when the deer in the headlights happens. Like you need to keep hands on that person and keep moving and keep connected. That's my belief. That'll help keep things moving, because again, the improv part of it, that's lost. But not every things that come to mind right now. I don't nothing
That's
pops
cool.
in my head. Yeah. Oh, Lee Moriarty's a good kid. He came down the train with me. Tried to help him get some more intensity. You don't see him a lot, but
Yeah. Who do you think the devil is on AEW?
I have no idea. It's probably Jack Perry. Who knows? I really have no fucking clue. I don't think it matters at this point.
Sorry
it
about
doesn't
that.
matter. Yeah, it's all right.
Hey, tell us about being a coach, man. Get into your coaching. So you were at NXT, right?
I was, yeah.
How'd that come about?
My relationship with William Regal. I've known him for 20 odd years now. We all went to a Dave Taylor camp once, before there were seminars, before there were workshops. Dave Taylor had a ring up in Peachtree City, and I was working TNA at the time. In fact, I left the camp up on a Wednesday to go work TNA and come back. And I met William Regal when I got back that week. That was a Wednesday. Got back Thursday. They had just gotten off the road, so I met Fit Finlay and Regal. And ever since then, I've had a rapport with Regal, to which Regal pulled me out of obscurity to work him at Harley's. Harley had a couple of camp shows back-to-back years, and Regal didn't want to work with anybody else. He wanted to work me. I tried to make it a tag. He wouldn't hear of it. Like, nope, because I learned British stuff. How the camp came about was I sat there and I'm like, man, I'm a trained wrestler. I'm not going to pay more money to learn. And then I sat there and went, I love British wrestling. I love the style. I love Fit. I love watching Fit Finlay. I love watching Regal, Dave Taylor. I know who these guys are. And a lot of tapes didn't exist then, and we didn't have YouTube. So whatever I knew is what I saw in WCW, but still, I love that rugged style. So I went to train with them, and ever since then, that carried through the years. And then Regal brought me out of obscurity. Like, I was living a civilian life. He's like, Ace, do you want to work? I'm like, how do I say no? And I had been asked year after year for quite some time. First by Joey Mercury, when he was a coach. He would hit me up and say, hey, what would you think of coming down here and coaching? How rooted are you? And I'm like, nah, Life doesn't dictate for me right now. Adam Pearce, when he was a coach, you want to come down here? And then Regal asked, and again, the timing wasn't right. So a couple of years later came about, and I was ready for the life change. And I just got a hold of him. I said, let's see if we can make this happen. And it was, it was a good little job interview, and I ended up in coaching at the PC. It's funny how the world works. Again, how things happen for a reason. It was the last year that Harley was alive, and so what happens is I didn't get a gig with NXT. I had basically 2 guest coaching appearances. An opportunity opened up to work on a movie, and it was up in Vancouver. And I was given the assignment to represent WWE, the PC, blah, 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 to go up and work on it. It's on Netflix. It's called The Main Event. It's a little kid finds a wrestling mask, and it's a kid movie. It's pretty good, actually. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I helped work out all the stunt scenes and wrestling scenes in there. I work with the stunt coordinators. Harley passed away while I was in Canada. So I turned around and I asked the producers, and actually I had finished all of my stuff. I had already had the segments ready. They just had to shoot like one last run of that stuff. And on my way home from Canada, they let me go a week early. They were sweet with pay. I said, hey, my wrestling dad passed away. Go home. I got to be there for the funeral. And Harley was actually my wife's trainer too. So that's full circle with stuff. But on my way home that Monday from Vancouver, my email starts blowing up. It's all the paperwork for all the background check for working at the PC. And I'm like, I'm headed home for Harley's funeral. And, it's just it just all happened all like that, snowballed, So
Wow.
that brought me down to Florida, and that's basically what thrust me back into wrestling and coaching and all that stuff. So, and man, what an eye opener to become, Rip, like it's even different to when you coach too. You're not as much in the dark, but there's still a lot of that where you're like, this week Vince says you can't fucking have a hot tag, like, what? What do you mean you can't have a hot tag? How do you have a tag match? Well, Vince hates tag wrestling. Fuck. What do we do?
Hey, this is Vaughn already knows all this stuff, but I'm just telling you and some people out there. It's like when I'm in England, Austria, and Germany, I'm staying. Me and Regal's living together.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that's when I meet Fit. That's when I'm meeting Dave Taylor. So I'm helping Regal write letters and got Regal a job for Bill Watts. And then he got Taylor in and he got Fit in, right? And I told Ole, I said, I think I saw the greatest heel I've ever seen. His guy's name's Fit Finlay. Ole goes, well, how tall is he? I said, God damn, I didn't put the fucking tape measure on him. I just knew I was mesmerized by him.
Mm-hmm.
He was just so legit, and it looked like he was killing people, and I got in the ring with him, and he wasn't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but then we got the pipeline in. Once Regal got in, he got Fit into WCW, and then he had the great career in the States. Dave Taylor had the great thing in the States, and it's all how you connect with somebody, they go on, and then part of you goes with them, and you're all connected one way or the other. It's just fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And everybody some way knows somebody, and then it's just unbelievable how and you're thinking back, how in the hell how did we get there? Everybody's got a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got a chance meeting with somebody. Everybody's got something stuck out, and somebody liked you, and you got your foot in this door. Somebody got you meet other people, and it's just living the goddamn dreams. What it is. Every day is a holiday. It could be, and wrestling is up, down, up, down, up, down. But God don't give you too much good or too much bad, but just keep working hard, shut the fuck up and listen, and you'll have a good career. I could never shut up.
Oh, bullshit.
That was my problem.
You never had heat with anybody.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, You
Yeah,
was
no.
on a roll, and I interrupted you, but I said I
No,
thought
no.
a
I was
lot
just
of
gonna
people.
say that's a lesson, like you said. That's a lesson for, again, a lost art. Hello, my name is so and so. Somebody said, say hi to you, or just doesn't even have to be that. Hi,
Right.
I'm blah blah. Where the fuck do you come from? If I have an interest in you, like I had that, I have a good face to put on where no one messes with me when I'm running around. And I had that a few times at AEW where I'm running around doing shit. And finally, I turn and look and I see all the extra guys who are mortified even there. And I look up and I'm like, hey guys, how are you? Good to meet you. I'm Ace, blah, 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 blah. And then one guy will be like, hey, so and so said to tell you hi, and someone I know. And I go, oh shit. And he goes, you've been running around and you look like you're very determined. I said, well, I do that for a purpose. I said, but yes, I'm very busy. But please never hesitate to stop me or ask me questions or, you know, just I I think about it when Regal talks to people and he can talk and he'll talk to all the extras all the time and he'll give them advice and tell them where to go and what to do. So I carry a little bit of that in there with me. I've viewed him do it so many times and the advice he gives and the advice he's given me. And so I think about that and like you should give back, but to go up and say hello to like Rip again, you don't remember, but I remember I should walk up to you because I have that like and I wish I'd done that a lot more. I wish I picked brains more when I was working. So when we talk now, like nobody asks advice. I'm like, yeah, they should. But I also think of the days when I was a worker and I was in it and I thought I knew shit. Well, I thought I knew everything. Not that I knew everything, but I thought I knew enough. Like where I wouldn't listen to Ted DiBiase's advice on wrestling because, well, he's a WWF agent right now. Yeah, but the motherfuckers work Japan and everywhere else that you love. And I think of that years later going, I listened, but I didn't hear what he told me. So I throw that back into nowadays where I walk into a locker room at Sal Humui runs World Wrestling Network, FIP, here in Florida. And I went down to one of their shows one night and I sat there and a lot of people grabbed me and pulled me aside to talk to me in the locker room and stuff. And then I talked to them afterwards and I'm like, I hope I had an open like communication and not the face on me where kids essentially could act. That's funny to say 50 years old, like fucking kids. But that they can ask questions and I'm an avenue to give them some advice, whether it's what they're looking for or not, but they ask the question. I want to be open that way. And so some of the things about people not asking advice, I somewhat get, but also shit, just look at the people you're around. Like when I get a chance to I remember Haku coming in. I've known him since I've worked Haku for Harley, but he came in for a buddy of mine in Kansas City and I said, I'm picking Haku up. He's like, huh? I'm like, I'm picking Haku up because I want to hang out with Haku and I want to soak stuff in, even if he's not even really telling me anything, just to watch Haku when the ring's being torn down, pick up a beam or a board and walk it out to the rig truck. And everyone's like, yeah, because you're not too good to fucking pick up a beam or a board. You're not that high up. If Haku can do it, that guy's the man.
Right.
Now, here's something here. And a lot of times I was thinking when kids don't ask and stuff, when I was just getting into business, I would say, I can't talk to this guy. I'm just a fucking goof.
Yes.
And I had no confidence to ask a guy who was a star or whatever in my mind was a star I'd seen in the magazines. He don't want to get a picture with me. He don't want to waste his time with me. He wants to go out and get him a six pack and get a broad lined up or the guys he's known for 20 years. And I was just too shy and I wouldn't even look a guy in the eye or anything.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff I understand.
Yeah.
And they don't want to think, well, I don't know anything. And he might think I'm stupid, or if he tells me and I don't understand it. And I hate to say, well, I don't understand it.
Right.
And then I don't want to take up any more of his time because he was a big star and I used to watch him on TV when I was a kid. And I'm just, I just can't do it, So I see all that.
Sure.
Because most of the time we're in goddamn character. you know,
Yeah.
fuck you, motherfucker, little cocksucker, this or that. But, and then sometime we're back to being a timid little fat guy that's 13 years old with a 32-inch chest and a 36-inch waist.
Sure. I
So
mean,
you
even
never
at this
know.
point, looking at Arn, like I'll still send people, watch Arn Anderson, watch how he moves, watch how he puts things in. But to walk up to Arn and go, hello, sir, blah, 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 blah. And I think thankfully Brock probably looked up something on me, and Brock looked at me and said, how long did you work with Harley Race? And that perked Arna. You worked with Harley. You don't hear that very much, right? But I would just, like I said, I'd go pick Arn's brain just to say hello. Tell me something. I kind of know the answer, but I want to hear you tell me that, just like Tully. Tell me about, he's like, you know what? I would watch Dory and Harley. I had to ref for them a 60-minute Broadway, and I was just enamored to hear that story. It's hard to hear that stuff anymore. Or Terry Taylor to tell me about his first match that's on YouTube of him in the Sportatorium and Tampa Sportatorium with him and Harley. He's like, I'm working Harley Race. Like, holy shit, to hear stuff like that. And, but you normally, you don't a lot of times ask advice unless you're in the ring with them, I worked Georgie Animal Steel a couple of times. One time he was a dream. The other time he was kind of a dick. And he was a dick to my students. Like, the match wasn't going the way he wanted. They're green. Not that I was giving him exactly what he wanted, but when we got done, I went and thanked him for the match, and he looked at me. I was like, how was everything? He's like, oh, it was great. It was great. Blah, 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 blah. And I said, really? It was okay? He's like, yeah. Like, I thought you might have been pissed in there. Nah, it's fine. Whatever. It's a fucking match. And I said, will you go tell the other guys it was fine? Because they are in Shitsville right now, thinking that they fucked up the world because you were yelling at them in a match, basically, And I was like, so there is that part, where when I read a book from somebody, because I'm fascinated by our business, you'll read about, I was around this guy and he's like, I hear the fucking shits, blah, 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 blah. There is that part 100%, like you're saying, Rip. Like I've had that so many years. I wish I would have just sat down and Danny Davis is one for sure. Like Punk tells me about his relationship with Danny, that he hung out with Danny a lot. And I never bugged Danny. Like I had a great rapport with Danny, but I never went and just sat in his office because he did the art of what I'm doing. He was busy all the time. Busy. Of course he's fucking busy. But he would have taken time to help somebody learn our craft and our business, because that's what we're here to do. Yeah, so again, I understand that too. You just made me think of somebody, Vaughn and Rip, when you asked that question of like good people, like Will Hobbs. Will Hobbs is a great kid. Great dude. Great dude.
I've heard that. Well, Mark Henry just said that too last week. Yeah.
Yeah. He would spend time looking at Punk and talk to him, and Punk's like, listen to some Ernie Ladd, not just because like the cadence of Ernie Ladd speaking, and just how he delivers things and the message he's delivering and his thoughts on wrestling, the Ernie Ladd learning tree, but he'd come in and Punk had a lot of people that would come talk to him, and but Hobbs is a great one. Like he's a great kid. I see a lot of potential in Will Hobbs. Like my hope is that he ends up on a bigger plane and a bigger stage someday that can take that and make it everything it can be.
Ace, you're pulling these stories out. This is so much goddamn fun. You talk about George Animal Steel. Now I'm working with George Animal Steel, and I'm taking Hoss Tweed with me from Seymour. We were all school teachers. We were all football coaches. So George bonded with me right away. And I said, I am fucking horrible. He said, well, I'll do the green mist, this and that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'll bite the turnbuckle, rip it off, and get the shit all over you and everything, and it'll be great. So I just did what he said, and it was, but because I was a football coach, he liked me. Because my buddy was a wrestling coach and a football coach, he liked him. So, and then you're talking about Ernie Ladd. Ernie lived next to me in Louisiana. I'd make the trips with fucking Ernie.
Wow.
Give us your Ernie Ladd voice, Rip.
Roger Bundy, you big fat turd. Don't just sit there like a box. Come on, Bundy, you big fat bastard. Ernie was fucking great. We'd stop whenever we make a stop to get gas, Ernie be in there and I'd be playing pinball for an hour. Ernie had to play pinball.
No shit.
I'd be sitting back here. He'd go, Rogers, who's the best heel? Who's the best heel you ever seen? You, Ernie. Rogers, tell Big Fat Bundy here. Who's the best baby face you ever saw? You, Ernie. You see, Rogers, that's why I like him. He knows what to say.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, fucking Ernie was the fucking best.
We got a guy here at the it's a local bar. It's a bar and grill type place that Pierce and I always eat. It's just up the road. And we'll go up there and have some lunch ourselves and have some beers. And there's a guy in there that looks just like Ernie Ladd. We'll call him Ernie Ladd. Like, he was in there the other day, and my wife was like, "There's Ernie Ladd." I said, "No shit." We hadn't seen him in a while, but we popped like, "There's Ernie Ladd. There's the like we'll bust into not as good of an impression as you got, but we'll bust into Ernie Ladd voice.
We'd work Biloxi, then we would drive all night, and we'd work Houston's on Friday night. And with Paul Bosch and Peter Burkholz and everything, and that was really Watts' best town. God damn it, where I had the stadium show with the stadium. Well, we did 35,000 people there at the Superdome, New Orleans.
Superdome, I was just saying,
yeah. Every Monday night we'd be in Louisiana. And when they do 35,000 people do a Superdome show, you got to remember that it ain't like WWE and they're leaving the dark. They work that every Monday night, no matter what.
Wow.
In one of the other buildings. But then we would then Friday night we'd pull in and I'd stay at Ernie's in the guest house. And he'd have the buffet come in,
nice.
and his kids would come in and wake me up and shit, and we'd talk shit. And Ernie had all them stories. I said, Ernie, just talk.
Yeah.
Just tell me stories. So he'd be
awesome.
talking about Grambling, how he went there on a basketball scholarship, and then how he got into wrestling business and playing pro football and his 11 knee operations, talking that shit. And I just sit there. I'm going, I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I'm with the goddamn great Ernie Ladd.
Yeah.
Talking shit. He's respecting my opinion, or maybe it wasn't. He's just a hell of a worker, right? It don't matter. I was just hog heaven. I'm in the back seat, fucking jacking off. What the fuck, right? That's just a figure of speech. It's like I'd tell you, Ernie. I'd say, Ernie, I want a younger, more attractive man. Don't rib me, Rogers.
That's
Well,
awesome.
I didn't want to, but no matter
how big was that ring in Houston? Like a fucking 25? When you see,
I think it was a 24.
It was like 22 or 25. When you see that, every time I watch it, I go, how fucking big is that ring? It just looks giant.
And like Watts would show up in Houston. The only time you'd see Watts would be Oklahoma City, Tulsa, TV at the Irish McNeil Boys Club in Shreveport, Bossier City, right there. Or every once in a while, he'd show up in Houston. So the first time I worked with Magnum TA, he come in, Magnum was going to get the mega push. So in the first match, the first time anybody saw him, he beat me with the belly to belly. I called him back in. He beat me with the belly to belly again. I called him back again. And he went for the belly, but I fucking countered it, whatever. And then he sunset flipped me and beat me again. And I just in the ring, just kicking like a little kid and screaming and yelling. And then people just come to him, and that sumbitch was over. Watch that thing. And he gave me the big bonus. I said,
Nice.
I knew you was here. He goes, well, you got that motherfucker. He said, well, this is when he was in a non-cussing stage. He said, well, you surely got him over tonight. Thank you. So that was awesome. Then I got to work for Bill Watts again when I come back to Atlanta and stuff. So he'd say, we'd have a pay-per-view. He'd said, hey, you want to work a dark match? A dark match, or do you want to sit by me and have the buffet and just talk to me?
Wow.
So I would just say, no, I think I'll have the buffet. And I'll sit and talk to you, and we'll tell stories.
Nice.
So I've just been so blessed to meet all these guys.
Oh yeah.
To do shit with them, and most of them are all dead now. So I'm on the extra innings of my life. So what the fuck, right? I ain't got any No, I don't say I wish I would have done this. I've already done my bucket list. Now it's just do it. Now just do it. It's talking to you and doing the Von Lilas wrestling with Rip Rogers. It don't get any better than that.
No better than coming over here every Friday, right, Rip?
Yeah. What the fuck? We got to talk about some shit.
Hey, I'm right there with you on that Regal thing. So when I did some extra work with WWE, I would talk to Regal because it was kind of hard being like a Rip guy. You never really knew who to drop Rip's name to and
Sure.
who not to drop Rip's name to. Since he was on about his third stint with the WWE as a trainer, you never really knew who to mention his name to. But I knew him and Regal had the good relationship, so I did. You know, I'd name drop Rip to Regal right away, and Regal was always cool, man. He always talked to all the extras, probably whether I would have said Rip's name or not. But yeah, I saw that firsthand, man. He was great to everybody up there.
Darren,
Yeah,
Darren Kenneth Matthews, love. Fucking lovely, mate.
Yeah, he was always like I said, like he's been a proponent of me for a long time, and like, you know, doing the PC stuff, you know, and even now, just talking to him, just now it's just regular shooting the shit. But you know, I always feel funny when people come, "Oh, Mr. Regal," and I'm like, "Hi, Darren," you know, like,
yeah.
It's a different rapport. Not that I don't have that respect for him. Like, you know, geez, I could watch Regal and Steamboat any day of the week. You know, I can watch any Ricky Steamboat match any day of the week for that matter. But just no, he's just been always that way. Like, you know, always super giving. Like when you see Fit, you're like, "Hey, Fit, how are you?" He's like, "Yeah, great." You know, like he's more animated now. But I remember when he was when I'd seen him after I did that Dave Taylor camp. Like, how's Dave? Dave's great. How are you, Fit? I'm great. Like, he just fucking stiff you. I'm like, okay. Now he's, you know, I've coached with him at the PC.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lot easier, you know, like a lot easier than like he's having the time of his life, you know. And I'll tell you what, he's still spry as ever. Fucking guy could go. He can see he's what 64, somewhere in there, age wise, can still move.
And he started when he was 14.
Amazing.
Because somebody didn't show up, so they threw him in there.
There's some story about somebody throwing a brick at him in a match. Yeah, no, it's over in England. I think Dave Taylor told me like some guy threw a brick at him and it barely took him off his feet, and he turned around and beat the holy shit out of the guy. It was a match. Like somebody chucked a brick at his head and just made him woozy, and he turned around and whipped the shit out of the guy until the guy ran out of the building. Something I'm obviously paraphrasing, but it'd be amazing to hear all the stuff that you got on him. He's obviously a different person now.
Right.
Did you ever view him snapping someone's thumb, the thumb gimmick he would do?
Let me tell you a story.
Weren't you the one of the bathroom story?
I went to we went out. It was me and Regal. We was all at they're all drinking, doing whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I don't drink. Yeah. So I was just sitting there like a little timid boy, just listening to stories. They'd ask me that they'd pump me. So I'd throw a little 2 cents in. And then he'd say, tell me when you got to go to the bathroom. So I said, okay. And then I wouldn't tell him. So I'm sort of wiggling, you know what I mean? I'm holding it. And then he says, you got to go, don't you? I said, yeah. And this was, let's just say Fitz calmed down his old age, and he found Christ. Mm-hmm. But before then he was a little bit wild, mm-hmm. But everybody knew him there because he worked, whether we were in Bremen, Hanover, or wherever we were at, and they'd all know where the boys went, and all the rats would be there. So he'd lead me to the bathroom. So he said, don't get too far in back of me. So I'm basically almost holding his hand, right? But the thing about it was, he had walked through there. It was the parting of the motherfucking Red Sea. Everybody there saw Fit Finlay coming, and everybody except a couple drunks, they'd try and grab him, hit him, slap him, shake his hand or whatever. But he got the one thumb. The guy just went, and I went, I never seen anything like it. I always heard about it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. And I said, well, yeah, let's just get to the bathroom, So I'm scared shitless. Wow.
Yeah, he'll have that twinkle in his eyes. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
not that guy anymore. Like,
Yeah.
did you see that?
Exactly. And Dave Taylor.
Yeah.
Now, here's a story about Dave Taylor. Dave Taylor's grandpa was on the 1936 Olympic wrestling team for Great Britain or whatever. Now, they didn't have 1940 because of World War II. They didn't have 1944 because of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But guess who was back on the team in 1948? Dave Taylor's motherfucking grandpa.
Ooh.
Could you imagine 12 years without basically competing and then going with all the young guys and you're back on there again? Unless it was a bollock story and they wound me up. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's a hell of a story. And I'm sticking by it.
I'm damn right. That's what's funny about Dave. Dave's so jovial,
right,
and jokes around. You don't know that he'd kill
a killer.
He'd kill you. Oh yeah, I love Dave. I would love anytime he'd come because he's like the longest. Like he loves the guest. He comes down and guest coaches a lot, and whenever he would come in, I would just say, "Can I have Dave?" And be like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, Dave, come to my class because he'll be there all day, ready to teach wrestling. And it's the numbnuts that don't go up and ask Dave Taylor wrestling questions.
Yeah,
because I'll have him always show the uppercut because he's the best uppercut there is, or lifter, whatever the fuck they call him.
The lifters,
lifter. Yeah, the lifter. But I'll have him get in the ring and do stuff, and he gets serious about.
I seen him destroy guys.
Oh,
stretching their motherfucking asses, and I'm sitting there fucking, my knees are knocking. I'm fucking shaking so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
but he's so happy. You wouldn't think that he could snap into that guy.
Yeah,
he's the happiest one out of all of them.
Yeah, I used to go. I went to England 3 times for Andy Baker and did seminars there. And Tony St. Clair would always come in, and Dave Taylor would always come in, and Dave was always stretching somebody, and he'd get him good too.
Yeah.
So I said, "Oh God, that was fun."
He's still built like a brick shithouse. He know what I don't know if he should put these out there. The boards that you do the Hindu push-ups on, like the dojo style, like the long board.
Yeah.
He came up with an idea of making blocks so you could do that. 2 separate blocks, like hand blocks. He brought me some, and he sells them like $40-$50. At least he used to. He just made them out of wood. Just made them. And you could carry him on the road. Like I've got him in my home gym. I need to put him in my bag. So when you get somewhere you don't feel like going to the gym, you can just do some push-ups or do the Hindus. I do them out by the pool every now and again when it's nice and sunny. And he's just little wacky master craftsman, that guy. He does shit like that. But I love Dave. All those guys. It's just funny how I fell in with those guys from going to that camp and then years later getting to do this stuff, And
you almost didn't go.
I almost didn't go. And in that camp, myself, Punk, Chris Hero, a buddy of ours named Derek St. Holmes from Milwaukee. He's just a local guy, but loved like that style of wrestling, who is the only smart one to take notes. Like he sent me the transcribed notes, and I'm like, the shit that I can barely remember. I know by doing and all that stuff, the cravat and all the shit we learned in the sequences, but he wrote notes down. But that's the lineup of people, and years later, how that would play out for all of us in different ways. When Regal and Punk worked for the IC title wherever in the 2000s, this is the happiest shit to see. So.
It's wild. Somebody in the chat wants to know if you ever worked Greg the Hammer Valentine or Hillbilly Jim. Quite a combination there.
Hillbilly Jim, no, never had the honor. I wish I could have worked Greg the Hammer Valentine. I defer to my friend Steve Carino, who has great stories of working with Valentine. I would have loved to work Valentine. He came down for Harley, but I never didn't get in there with him.
Got it. Who were some of the people that you trained when you were coaching at the PC?
PC, a lot of the guys. I'm sorry.
Who would have been like in that class or in that time?
So those that I got pulled up right now on TV, Grayson Waller was in my class. He was fresh off the trek over here from Australia. Solo Sikoa was in my class for a little while. like right at the beginning. And you could tell he was on the fast track. Come on. Like what Islander doesn't have it usually in them? Like it's just by nature, like they end up being good and can move and, and do the job. I had Anthony Henry in there, who's now working AEW. Anthony Green, who has, when he got let go, he went straight to Japan. Alex Zane, who is over in Japan currently too. Like these are guys that were on the indies as well. I had, when I coached with Fit in his class, we had Braun Breaker to start, Steiner,
Yeah.
I was at Steiner's tryout and like you couldn't, he's a fucking Steiner. He ran the ropes like his dad, talks like his uncle, and he respects this business. So what do he's a blue chipper right off the bat. You're like, that's a no-brainer. You're going to fucking sign that guy. I had a guy named EJ Nduka who now works for AEW. He was hired there. He's 280 pounds. It looks like a brick shithouse, like a bodybuilder. There's star power there. Still got stuff to learn, Green in the ring, but there's a guy that works for NWA right now named Jack Talos. He's like 8 foot. He actually played for the Harlem Globetrotters.
Oh, wow.
Again, why did they let him go? I don't know. Like, there's potential there. And I always say that you see, it's been said that you get hired to get fired by WWE, especially in the early stages. What do you do after developmental? Do you still go out there and chase it? The young guys, that tells me where the heart really was, that they're still out there going after it. And for a guy like him, like Jack Talos, to now kept working indies, I don't know where he trained after the PC, but he went and found him a spot with NWA and showed up and showed him something, So every now and then I'll hear from him, see his work. Let me think, television-wise. I mean, there's Pierce. Pierce was, I didn't, break him in, but he'll give me a lot of credit, in the formative years because he always had it. He's another guy that just a natural athlete and walked in and, if there's a match coming up with him and Aldis, I don't know if they're ever going to get there.
Yeah,
like,
it'd be awesome.
It looks like they're putting them in, like it could happen.
Yeah.
Like he could pull it off. He could pull it off, coming to mind. Gosh, the PC, there's just so many people that pass through your class. Tony D'Angelo, he's a Chicago guy. He's a local Chicago guy as well. Didn't know him until he hit the PC, but talk about a guy, and we're talking about NCAA rated worker, like wrestlers, like legit, like him and Steiner were rated, and Steiner was more the football player than the wrestler, but Tony D'Angelo's got a hell of a collegiate background. The Creed brothers that are now just got pulled up to TV. They got a lot to learn, but they're going to freaking learn it. When somebody walks up to you and says, Coach, give me 3 things that I need to work on every fucking practice. And I'm like, give me a second. Like, but you're advancing, these guys are advancing and they're taking it in and they're doing so well. Like, just great to see.
I've seen them. I've seen them on TV the last couple of weeks. They seem to be pushing them to the moon right now. So
sure. I mean, they need time, but when you think about it, are they too green? Like they're green, but how do you get better? You have to work someone better than you. And that, again, a lost art in our business. I can't work someone that's the same level as me and get better. We could just do our routines better, but I'm not going to learn to slow down. When I work Bull Payne and I thought I worked slow and fucking Bull Payne works slower, we always laugh about that match. He's like, remember that match we had? It's like, yeah, don't fucking remind me, It wasn't, it was just, you to throw those guys up into the fire right now, exactly what they need. They need to work the New Day. They need to work other guys that have been working there, can show them the way and the routine and how to slow down, when to turn and look at the crowd. Dude gave belly to belly, nip up one after another. And then I'm like, okay, now turn to the crowd and fucking do this. And it's not there yet. It'll get there, but it's not there yet. Austin Theory, his first run, into the PC while I was coaching with Robbie Brookside, another great. And Rip, Robbie, yeah?
Yeah. He was Regal's buddy from England.
Yep.
And Regal got him that job, and Robbie's been there ever since then.
Yep.
And then
Robbie's amazing.
Is that he's got a kid that's a wrestler, right?
Yep, Zaya. Yep.
Right. And then Regal's got the kid, his son, Was it Daniel, Dane, and Briley? Was it? Is that his three boys? Daniel, Dane, and Briley.
Oh, I forget. I'm terrible with the names.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah,
got the kayfabe name and stuff.
yeah. Yep.
But and
Yeah,
all
we
this
had
stuff.
Austin Theory. We had Austin Theory in
Mhm.
Robbie's class, and let me tell you about a respectful guy. Super respectful. Still see him. Hey, coach, how are you? Like, you could just see it in him. Like, I see a future world champion, that kid, at least under Vince's eyes, because of the way he's fucking 23 years old. He's got a natural body because he can't be on the gimmicks. And, he's looked the same way, and he just keeps learning and getting better,
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. Did you ever do anything with Pat McAfee down there?
I did not. I
just remembered him and Theory had that match or whatever. I didn't know couldn't remember the time frame on that if you
I
were
did
around
not.
at that time.
I did not. I met him once because he was back. He was there at NXT TV one time, and then he had worked Adam Cole at that point. And but no, I've heard Pierce just tells me he's nothing but a good dude, and I know you've obviously he comes from good stock, so that goes a long way to hear that he's rip Pat McAfee. He's just
Oh, Pat's just phenomenal. He's a freak. He's a phenom. Hell, he was talking about it. All I do is play this stupid NFL. I don't care about the money. Punt left, punt right, punt left, punt right, coffin corner, down the middle. Shit. He wanted to be a wrestler. So he became a wrestler.
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
Hey,
when you see guys
pushing.
like that,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Nope.
I
Go.
was going to say, when you see guys like that take to our sport, and because they want to learn, it blows your mind that they're so much better than some of the people that are thinking that they're going to blow your mind with their work, or they should take a lesson from guys like him, or like even Logan Paul. I don't know him at all, but look at the way he's performed and put on stuff. When you watch them do things that are better than what I could turn on right now on TV, like, take a lesson. Take a look at what these guys have done to get into this and to learn what we do.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying we're pushing almost 2 hours. I don't know how long you have, so you can get off here anytime you want. But before we get out of here, anything that you want to plug, and what are you doing nowadays? Like, what's Ace Steel? What's going on with you these days?
What's going on with me? I am currently they call it coaching, producing at TNA. I'm gonna Impact turning into TNA. So I've been producing there. We'll start up beginning of the year in Vegas. Big sold out show going on there in Las Vegas. Hard to Kill pay-per-view. So I'm going to work with them. Got my seminars I call workshops because I work. It's not going to get in the ring and really going to take a lot of arm drags, but I just can't do a thing where I go in and talk. Like, I have to get in the ring and move. Rip's much the same way. I have to demonstrate. So I've got a lot of workshops coming up. Doing one here in a week, December 17th with WWN down in Newport Richey. I've got a workshop down there. The branded price at $49, which I thought was hilarious. Not 50, but 49. I think I'll make them all that way. I just can't stop when I have that going on. I can't just talk. I need to get in the ring and demonstrate. So I'll have quite a few workshops next year. But producing for TNA and that, I just acquired a wrestling ring. So I'm looking for a building, and I'll be the 51st school in frickin' Florida, and I don't care. I just feel our sport it's got something to give. There's something I got to give because all these shows, Rip, it when we've produced together in Derby City, but you're like, I'll get up ahead of time and say, guys, here's your camera angles. There's this, don't do that. Or even at a place like that, just because it's not major league television, I'll still have Marty Bell and Ellison Kay and then different workers come up. Hey, what looks best when I do this? I like to help break people in. I haven't broke someone from ground up in a long, long time because I mainly work with people that were already advanced at the PC, but I look forward to doing that. So in the near future, you're going to be hearing about me in the next year having something going on here in Florida. So just staying busy.
All right. So you already said it's hard to find you like on social media and stuff. How are you how are you plugging? Is there a website? How can people find these workshops?
So I'm not hard to find on Instagram. It's at
Oh,
Aces of
Instagram.
Steel.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram Aces of Steel, which is the same as Aces of Steel on Twitter. I just put the lockdown on Twitter because it's a little more toxic of a world. Instagram is more pictures. You'll see pictures of my my dog. Happy times, my dogs, plural. But it's where the wrestling stuff and the fun stuff comes. Social media should be fun. It shouldn't be so crazy to me. Nothing political, nothing religious. It's like the old work rules. If you don't talk about these things at work, you don't. You deal with the business at hand, and that's where I'm at. So I'm promoting it out there. You could sign up on there and follow me and the ongoings there, promoting all the good stuff in the world. And I love this business. I love this business.
Maybe you could bring Rip in for a little seminar sometime.
Trust me, that's all I'm thinking about is the people I know and who I can bring in and do what. I work with Hybrid Wrestling in San Antonio, and they're one of the beautiful entities in the world that when a lot of things went to shit, they said, hey, come in for a seminar, come in for a workshop. And they embraced me. And I've been back there 3 times now. They have such a great camp of people. Funaki coaches down there with a guy named Chris Marble, who is a guy I met many, again, your connections that you meet, right? I met this guy a million years ago at a show that I worked in San Antonio that I vaguely remember. And but he knows of me, and he brought me in. And working with those people, they bring in a lot of people for seminars, and I have that plan in mind to bring in the people I know to come and coach and give that flavor. I can't give Rip's flavor. I could take what I know from Rip and implant that, but I can't do what he does and speak the way he does. We may
Nobody
be
can.
saying the same thing. What's that?
I said nobody can speak the way he does.
No.
I don't teach wrestling, coach. That's like Dr. Tom can go out there and explain everything about wrestling, and then I'll just tell them something like a 3rd grader, and then they'll try and do it. Now I say, well, but if you do this and that, but I'm not there to teach you moves.
Not moves.
Sure.
You teach wrestling. Maybe not moves.
Yeah.
But you always say I don't teach wrestling, but I disagree. I had you. You may not get in there and teach a move or move sets per se, but you teach wrestling psychology, which is wrestling.
Yep.
I don't know what the fuck, right?
And you're the one too that taught the 3 different hip tosses, for example. I mean, so you do teach wrestling.
I know,
Hey,
but
do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. Now you have 3 hip tosses. None of them even look the same.
oh, what the hell? I forget shit,
Exactly. This is why you have people come in to do seminars. They have a different flavor, different taste. And so I aim to do stuff like that, to have people come in that can, essentially speak the same language, but, we're the same point is trying to come across, but we all speak a different language, but it's all for the greater good of what our business is about. So, yeah, man, that's what I'm looking to do.
That's awesome.
I appreciate you guys having me on today, by the way.
Yeah, I had no idea, but I had no idea about the TNA stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, that came about earlier this year. They had reached out, and I was stuck with other things, other obligations going on, and it came about this year, and I was super excited. And what a great crew! When
awesome.
You go to places and not walk on eggshells, and everyone wants you there, that's a beautiful thing. So great crew they have there.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm gonna ask this question. Did you ever agent a Young Bucks match? He said no.
I was just watching his face.
Yeah, that's a good one.
No. Awesome, man. You got anything else, Ripper?
No, I could do this shit all day, just talking stories, talking shit, having a good time. It's like we was at a bar telling stories, drinking, but I don't drink. So I ain't at the bar, so we're just doing it here today.
And it's podcast to podcast, but I'm on the Wrestling Perspective podcast with Lars Fredrickson from Rancid and Dennis Farrell.
No shit.
I've joined their crew. Like I've done a few guest spots with them, and Petey Williams used to do the spot, and now he's up at a WWE main roster doing producing. So they invited me in, and I love talking to those guys too. I just love talking, our sport. So, and they're big fans themselves. So I do that as well. Wrestling Perspective Podcast.
Oh, cool. Well, we can definitely bring you on here again sometime, man. We're on here every Friday live, and doesn't have to be 2 hours next time. You can stop in for 20,
Sweet.
30 minutes. We don't
Sure.
care.
Hey, you gonna plug
Yeah.
your t-shirt? You gonna plug your t-shirts?
Pro Wrestling Tee site. I always forget about it. There's that brand new shirt that came out like last year, Ace's Place. It's got some drop kicks on there and served with some Spinal Shock. I do have a Pro Wrestling Tee store. We'll expand that as the year goes on when I think of more designs and stuff. But go ahead, get you a shirt. They're fun. The Ripper loves it. The Hustler himself. I need to get me a Hustler shirt next time I'm up there in Chicago. Go to Pro
It don't
Wrestling
get any
Tees.
better than that.
Hell yeah, man.
That's right, baby. That's right, baby. But thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'd love to come back on.
All right, man. Hey, we're going to stick on here for just a few minutes and wrap up, but we're going to let you go. So totally appreciate the time. I mean, we went a long time today, so appreciate all your time. I know you got a lot of shit going on. It was a great conversation today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks for being on here, Ace.
Awesome, Rip. That was cool.
I just like to listen.
Oh, you always say that. You got the same thing every time. I like to listen. You talked. You had good stories. I thought it was cool. You guys had that connection with the England guys, man. I didn't know he was in the England line. I guess
the whole thing about you don't know this shit, right? Then you pop up just like Ernie Ladd popped up, or whatever, right? And then you want to. They want to see the fucking guest. You know what I mean? So if I can get a few things in here that we've done together, or the same people we know or whatever, say, well, hell, I didn't know that, and this and that, and it all ties together. And then all these guys were all connected with something, somehow, somewhere, some way. It's like I love fucking pro wrestling, and then and that's the way it fucking is. But anyway, what the fuck?
What the fuck? Medium 5 said the thumb in the bum, baby. I don't know what that means. Best podcast today. Good show. BSK's now in green. When did that happen? BSK showing up in green. Hell, the world might be coming to an end.
Well, we was talking about the thumb in the bum is like when you cover somebody, ramming your finger up their ass, right? You don't put the thumb up there. You put the middle finger, the bird finger, one knuckle only, twist to the right, and they'll get off you real quick if they're covering you. So that's always that's a good trick to know.
Well, we tried to get him to talk a little bit about AEW. I think he's legally not allowed to say a whole lot about it, but he did at least mention it, I guess, and basically said that, hey, we're family. And basically the way I took it was if Punk was fighting, he was fighting.
Yeah. So nothing wrong with that.
That's the way I took it. Look who came in the chat today. Did Rip say Sunset Flip?
Yeah, I said Sunset Flip.
I know, but look who it is. Sergio, the king of the Sunset Flip.
Is that him?
Well, yeah,
it says Surge. It don't say Sergio.
Oh, I'm assuming Surge. Well, if somebody named Surge, which is probably short for Sergio, comes in and says, did Rip say Sunset Flip? You think it's just a coincidence that it's almost Sergio?
Yeah, I can't.
It's his picture right there.
I can't see that far.
Big Al says, gentlemen.
Well, he always says gentlemen. That's what he's supposed to do. Frank Picklebear said this is the best podcast today we've done.
Brody James gifted 5 memberships. I don't even know what that means. What's that mean? How do you gift a membership?
I have no idea.
So BSK just got like a gifted membership. Who got the other 4? How do you do that?
What do Opinion Haver have to say? Oh, he said somebody. Opinion Haver said somebody gifted 5.
I just read that.
Okay, well,
he gifted 5 memberships. BSK got lucky. I said, so who got the other 4? I don't even know how that.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
Somebody bought 5 memberships and gave them away. Now, who's Brody James? Wasn't he a wrestler? Is he a wrestler still right now? Wasn't he in the NXT, or am I thinking of a different Brody James?
Oh, Brody, whatever. Brody's a popular name.
Well, thanks, Brody James.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. No idea how you gift or get gifted or whatever. Rip, can we have an episode of your car ride stories from the territories? Ernie Ladd's story left me wanting more.
Well, one time me and Bundy was going somewhere, and all the Hell's Angels was coming by, and they recognized Bundy. So they all laugh and they're on our fucking tail and pass us and sort of engulfing us and keeping us like driving 60 miles an hour. So Bundy got fucking hot. He opens his fucking glove box out and he pulls his fucking gun out and he
Easy on
starts
that.
shooting at him. It was over their head, so it really wasn't shooting at him. But I was just laughing. When Big Fat Bundy get upset, his lips would sort of, he'd sort of quiver, like he's eating a pizza real fast or whatever. Or like Starcade was doing their fucking
Rapping.
doing the rapping. Oh, they talk so fast. And did I mention that Vaughn Lilas was on their
You did, yeah.
Oh, okay, I was just checking.
So
But
I
anyway,
thought you said the Hells Angels liked him. So then why'd he shoot at him? I'm guessing
because they was just fucking with him.
Oh,
Because Bundy had the heavy foot, of wanting to drive. He was in a hurry. Probably had to go get something to eat or whatever. So he pulled the gun out and was shooting. Now, he wasn't shooting. He was just shooting over their head and stuff. And I'm just sitting there going, here I am, small town boy. And of course, Bundy's from Jersey. So everybody's got a gun there. So what the fuck, right? Big Fat Bundy, you big fat turd. Get in the learning tree.
John Tucker, super chat. Thanks, John Tucker. What's the story with the 2x4 spot on ICW opening?
2x4 spot.
Yeah, it says what I don't know what that. What's the story with the 2x4 spot? Did somebody have a 2x4 or
Probably I can't remember what was on the opening. Probably somebody hit somebody with a 2x4. Because we had to wrestle the bear shit, Pez doing the dive through the ropes with a freeze frame on me, all kinds of stuff. Randy hitting dropping the elbow on Wee Willie the midget. Al Snow, this first time he did TV for us, they put him in a garbage can upside down.
I got my picture of Wee Willie. Hey, what the 2x? If you can be more specific, John Tucker, maybe we can answer the question. I don't know what the 2x4 spot is. Buckshot Kid said the other four people, Code, P. Ness, Martini, Vincent. Man, all these free memberships. So who is Brody James? Is he a wrestler? Anybody ever going to answer that question in the chat? Or who? Still didn't even get it, but that's cool. Dave Channel said the Ripperoonie.
The Ripperoonie, baby.
The Ripperoonie. Ripperoonie. That's it. Any other questions here today? Rip's going to take a few questions here before we wrap this thing up. If anybody in the chat has a question for the hustler Rip Rogers here today.
I'm guilty of everything, so what the hell, right?
We had the most people on here today that we've ever had, Rip.
Was he? Well,
Yeah.
that was good because we plugged it.
Sure, it's good. We plugged it. What do you mean?
Well, I put a whole bunch of shit on my fucking Twitter.
Well, I mean, I plugged the shit out of Mark Henry last week, and we didn't have these numbers.
I put three different videos and stuff up.
Okay, well, maybe you should start plugging more.
Well, I know that's what I said. I said that's what I was
maybe
doing.
You should start doing something then. Start plugging some of this stuff.
I said, well, they don't want to. They want to see my old ass anyway. Same old shit.
God,
this and that.
Huh. Rip decided to plug something. Good job,
Yeah.
Rip.
How was Bob Brown to deal with in the Maritimes? Shit, I dealt with the Bulldog Bob Brown in the Maritimes. I dealt with him in goddamn Kansas City. And we was talking about Harley race earlier. Harley left there, and I come in as there as the booker, and I ribbed Harley, and I told him, I said, well, hell, Harley, I walk into Kansas City, and it's dead from your fucking ass booking. And Geigel said it was a shits because of Harley. Oh, he didn't say nothing. He just fucking stared. I said, Harley, I hope you know I'm ribbing.
Funny.
Oh, shit.
So the guy got hit with a board, violent. Somebody got hit with the board, 2x4, something in the intro to the ICW.
Well, I'd have to look at it and see. Then I could say, oh, yeah, then I could tell you exactly when it was and stuff. That was like Crusher Broomfield wrestling Ginger, wrestling the wrestling bear in Frankfort, Kentucky. There's, a little bit of footage on that.
Frank said he's taking his $3 to Great Wolf Lodge this weekend. Mommies in swimsuits.
All right. Could be daddies in swimsuits. What the hell, right?
The best diet to lean out. Don't eat.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't eat. It's pretty simple. Don't eat fucking, fuck all.
Rip was the Canadian Bush super bushy.
I always like him to nair that thing. Make it slick like a baby's butt. Little pinkage coming out the bean there, you know.
Jesus. Great question, man. All right. It's time to wrap this thing up.
Okay, we've been on what, over 2 hours?
Over 2 hours.
It don't get any better.
Thanks everybody
Hey.
for joining today.
Next week, we got Les Thatcher coming on,
Oh yeah, plug that shit.
and we got Dave Marquez coming on too.
Well, I don't know if we're doing both of them live.
Well, we'll do one. I don't know. Whatever you.
Now, did you book this thing at 11 o'clock again next week?
No,
No. What time's Les
no.
Thatcher?
I think he's at 1. It's in my phone.
So
I
you
think
booked at 1 and 2, so we're only getting an hour
it's
with Les
1 and
Thatcher?
2, or maybe whatever. We can always do more. What the fuck? Because Dave's on the West Coast, so we got a 3-hour difference.
But that
there.
doesn't matter if it's 1 and 2
So
our time. It doesn't matter where any of them live. Buy your shirt, ProWrestlingTees.com. Wrestling with Rip Rogers, the Hustler shirt.
You can get my book from Amazon.com.
Get Rip's book, Amazon.com.
It don't get any better than that.
The book on pro wrestling, lessons from Rip Rogers.
You go to play Starcade to get the head bob.
Well, we
in it.
just did.
Well,
but then we
how
started.
about- how
Then he
about-
started plugging.
How about the fast thing when they go?
He started plugging.
When they start talking real fast.
So Les Thatcher will be on next week. We don't even know. We don't know for sure if we're going to be on live, not live, or we'll be on live. We don't know if Les is. Are we doing Les Thatcher live?
I got 2 guys on that. We can figure it out. And then you'll cut them up anyway. So you got
But
Les.
cutting up has nothing to do with this show.
Well,
ever.
anyway,
Like cutting my shit up.
Anyway,
or the things
anyway,
of it,
anyway.
nothing to do with this. Show.
anyway, Les Thatcher's going to be on, and Dave Marquez is going to be on because Dave he can be off and he can slide it in his busy schedule. He got shit to do. So this and that. No matter what, it's going to be great. It's going to be the best shows we have that day. You guys like my beard? If you don't, fuck y'all anyway.
Buckshot Kid's been putting it over.
Does he? I
Yeah.
can't see shit.
Everybody
Okay.
has been. Get out of here.